Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Three Hamster Boys. It's us, the Three Hamster Boys, here to drink a little bit and talk a lot. I, of course, am Alexander. To my right's Nick,
Hello.
And to the left is Jeff.
The old man.
Yeah.
Oh.
The old man.
Oh gosh.
The old man in the sea.
Yeah, feeling a little old right
Feeling
now.
old today.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mainly because the topic we're talking about
All
today.
right. Yeah, good. I like the transition.
The topic we're talking about today is because I feel old.
Yeah.
Over the weekend, we were watching the League of Legends World Championship game.
So good.
And it is so extremely different than when I was in high school. You know, where computers were just starting to take hold and everything. So the idea of, and we were looking up this number, 7 million people plus those in China watching a arcade game online is such a weird thing to think.
Yeah, like you had Pong,
Yeah,
pinball.
I mean, at the time when I was in high school, you had something beyond Pong, but it was like Atari was coming out with games,
Atari.
and the co-op or multiple player thing didn't exist. It wasn't even imagined.
Yeah.
And so for us to see a 5 against 5 live on the internet is just crazy. So, anyways,
And then, to clarify, Worlds 2024.
Yes.
Yeah.
Depending on when this episode comes out.
To just date it and to know how good it
Yeah.
was. Because in the previous years, finals have been 3-0s recently.
Yeah.
But before we really get into the thick of it, it is my little duty, along with I always get support, what we're drinking. So we have a eclectic collection of beers. Today, ales, a variety. It is from the
Bold Mariner Brewery.
Which was very close to the it was the distillery last week.
Yeah, it's very close to Chesapeake Bay Distillery.
Yeah.
So
You had it there. You were right
Yeah, it
there.
was on my-
So
I wasn't
basically,
sure.
the Bold Mariner is in Norfolk, Virginia, and the Chesapeake Bay one is in Virginia Beach, and they literally are right down the street from each other, a couple miles apart.
So our spy not only acquired the tequila and other fun things for the future, but she also pit stopped here and picked up an interesting variety that we will enjoy today, starting with the Frogman,
So to get some background,
which is a lager.
yeah, which is
Woo.
so the background of this is that when we were talking about doing the submarine episode, when I talked about the Navy, this was a place that we really wanted to get some beer from, but we just couldn't get down there in time. It's a couple hours away from us, and we just couldn't get down there. So this person that started this is an old SEAL or frogman in World War II, and then they converted to SEALs, and they started this brewery. And so there's all these clever names with it related to it. The brewery works with the Navy SEAL Foundation for families and stuff like that. The SEALs, from, if you don't know, in the Navy are the special operations guys. It's like the Rangers or the Army equivalents of special ops or whatever. So these are the guys that go in for these missions. And on my second submarine that I was on, we carried 2 platoons of SEALs and we did some special stuff. And so I had a real connection to these guys. They're crazy, but they, I really wanted to get this beer. So we're a couple episodes late, but
Yeah.
I still think it's a great thing to do.
Just perfectly timed for our really nerdy episode.
That's right.
Yeah. We did want to have this for the submarine episode, for the submarine talk, and just didn't quite line it up in the way that we wanted to. We actually originally thought that we were going to take a quick family trip down there
Yeah,
to
run it
go
down.
visit. but the stars did not align for that, and therefore we had to send someone else to go take care of it.
But we shall nonetheless partake and enjoy.
Yep.
Yeah, so you said this is a lager.
It is a lager. Not too much other description. There are other things that are a little more interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe it'll taste like frog. It does not taste like frog.
It's just a really good lager, to be honest. It's really clean.
Yeah, I mean, 2 drinks enough.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
I
Took a big gulp.
Yeah.
it just went down by itself.
Yeah. How did
like
this-
a frog.
How
Yeah.
did that happen? Where'd it go?
Yeah, I mean that is
It's really smooth.
really good.
Really refreshing.
It's good too, especially like out of a can. I feel like a lot of times all 3 of us prefer the draft.
And then bottle.
Yeah.
And then rarely can. You can
Yeah.
avoid it.
So I feel like a lot of times when we're talking about like drinks, especially when they're coming out of a can, we're giving like a little bit of grace to them just because we're like, we know it's probably better if we went and got it on tap. But
This is good.
yeah, this is good. I like it.
We're gonna have to stop by there next summer.
I was already planning on it. I was already planning on going back to the distillery and getting another bottle of that tequila.
Tequila's good. Anyway,
Oh my gosh. Yeah, the tequila from last week
Running out.
was very popular. Nick's been taking requests now.
Yeah, I made a cocktail for our mother the
Yeah.
night after
Yeah.
to make the Bloody Maria.
All right, so what do you want to do?
Let's get into it.
Yeah, let's get into it. So we kind of started this episode talking about League of Legends and our father feeling old. And I think that's kind of the direction of this show. It sparked a big conversation for us where we were kind of talking about what League of Legends is, like how people get into it, why people get into it, and it was kind of this like round table discussion that we had over dinner. And I thought that it would be really interesting for us to talk about it on the podcast, maybe go in a little bit more detail, and also like if there are people at home who are also wondering like why the heck are people playing this game.
why are so many people playing it? But also, why are so many people watching it?
Yeah.
And so my question was a simple question that has a lot of information about it. Like my question was, how do you get into the game?
Yeah.
And I think part of that is the complexity of the pieces and parts of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. All the aspects combined make it a game with a lot of depth, but also like a pick up and play aspect to it as well.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about that, but anyways.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Let's before we even start of like how do we get into it, let's like tackle like what is League of Legends. If you're unfamiliar, maybe you've never heard of it, or you've heard of it but you don't really know what it is. This is of course a video game that we're talking about. It's a 5v5 MOBA game, which just stands for Multiplayer Online Battle Arena, which seems a little too broad if you think about it a little too long, but really that just means that there are dedicated roles, there are lanes with little guys that walk up and down them, there are towers, and your goals are to destroy the towers and eventually destroy your opponent's base while piloting one champion of potentially many.
For sure. Man, where to begin?
Yeah, I know.
Where do we start at this? Well, I mean, I think the clear is like just background on League of Legends itself.
Yeah.
At the time of recording, it's at its 15-year anniversary.
Yep.
The game officially released. It had alphas and betas before, but it officially released in 2009. With a very, I would say, fascinating start. Riot Games, the creators of it, are sort of known for taking aspects of other games and making it their own, and at this point, almost improving the formula.
Yeah.
So League of Legends,
It's almost the standard now, actually.
yeah, was stemmed from another game called Dota, or Defenders of the Ancients 2, because Defenders of the Ancients 1 was a mod in
Warcraft 3.
Yep. I said a lot of things. A lot of it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
That's just the history of how this little baby game was formed a long time ago.
I think it's important to note that a lot of these games, specifically like League of Legends and MOBAs that come after it, are like based off of like classic RTSs, real-time strategy games.
Yeah.
And those are typically more like war games where you are like an amorphous general commanding various troops and building and gathering resources. And so that's kind of the basis where these games have kind of evolved and changed course to create their own kind of subsection of game.
Yeah.
Because you're still building and getting resources, but you're doing it real time.
Also, or on a more like specified level.
Yeah, on a more like localized level.
Yeah.
Instead of like, I'm building buildings, I'm building an army, you just have one character to focus on.
Right.
Yeah.
To really cultivate and honestly connect with a little bit.
You take on the persona.
I don't know about some players do, but the game boasts a lot of characters right now.
Yeah, this was one of the things that is really, when I see people play, and you guys go, oh, they're this character or that character. That's a bit overwhelming because, you think of 20 or 30 characters as a lot of characters, but there are 168.
I think so, 169 since
The newest release.
the newest champion today.
Yeah, so 169 different characters with different attributes and play different roles and stuff like that. That is really an overwhelming number.
It feels monumentous. I would say when I first began playing, I was overwhelmed. I was like, I'm not gonna know all of these characters. Right.
I don't believe that because you remembered all three sets of Pokemon.
3 generations of Pokemon.
It's true. And I think that like little part of your brain does it serves the same purpose of that.
Yeah.
My Pokemon knowledge is decreasing as we speak, and
because you're replacing it with other knowledge.
I was about to say, it's getting replaced with other random knowledge.
It feels a little bad because I'm like, I know that Pokemon, but now I don't know you, and it hurts a little in my soul. But now it's like, oh yeah, that's Renekton. We're it's being replaced.
Renekton, Renata, Rakan, all those R names.
There's a lot of champions, but it's also alluring because of that. Because you can really find characters that fit exactly how you want to play the game, or you aesthetically enjoy a character a lot. Yeah. Like in any sort of like fictional or storytelling role, at this point, you can find a character in League of Legends that fits that one specified aspect.
We were watching that one video, and this guy was talking about how he picked his characters. He's like, I picked the ones that looked interesting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think when I was getting into it, the person that I was playing with and introduced me, he said, whatever sounds interesting, I'll get you that character. You play them. You see how you like it. And I think that's the best way to do it.
Yeah.
Because I think for how intense and complex League of Legends is, you got to find something to hold on to fast. Because it's moving fast. And if you find a character that you're like, they're kind of cool, that might be it. To hold on to this like nonstop engine that is League of Legends.
It's always, whenever we were watching the championships, it was like, oh, this person is playing this character. Well, they've got a 75% win rate when they're playing that character.
Yeah. That gets into statistics like sports. I think you can understand that aspect.
Yeah,
right?
like for me, if you're a baseball fan, you live for the statistics of it.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that it's funny when you look at these at these games, there's all these statistics, like this character does really well and this player does really well with this character and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think even in a casual kind of setting for League of Legends, there is still, because there are so many characters, there is that mind game that happens here. But I think maybe we're getting a little too deep here.
Yeah,
we're
we're delving.
we're delving, and it's hard not to, because like we said, this game is like incredibly complex. Not only are you in control of your character and trying to fight in whatever role or lane that you're assigned to, you also need to worry about leveling up abilities. Most characters have 4 abilities, with their 4th ability being an ultimate, or that kind of like fight starter, fight ender.
It's sort of like a signature superpower.
Yeah, exactly.
Something that's like really grand or flashy.
Yep.
That really sort of encompasses their character and really has that impact that you always want in a game.
Yeah, so via existing, you're getting XP like you would in any sort of like RPG or just any game, really.
Yeah.
And killing minions, killing your opponents, it gets you more XP, and that will allow you to level up. And as you level up, you get points to distribute into these abilities, making them stronger.
What is amazing to me, because I've played other games. You know, we were talking about Smite as another game.
Yeah.
It's similar to it. The creativity and imagination necessary to come up with different characters and their different abilities and how they build. Yep. It's pretty remarkable when you think about it from a creativity standpoint.
For sure.
Absolutely.
You know, not only is it the design and the look of the character, but also their abilities and how they're fighting and how they, you know, cool down and recoup and all that stuff. It's remarkable to see.
Yeah. So you are contesting with that. You need to worry about leveling up your character, how to level them up. And then you also need to build items, like an adventurer going off to delve into a cave or into a dungeon. You need to equip yourself with the best items. And League of Legends has a plethora of items to choose from, each doing something slightly different. And the final form, so if I build 2 daggers and a book or a cloak, that might build into something bigger that has special abilities within itself as well. And Nick can talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I think depending on what you want to do, there are special equipment. You know, you're picking up a tool for whatever occasion you deem it necessary. I think is how to.
You're having a party, right?
Yeah.
Or you're having a party, or you're like, I'm going to go build a house. What do I need? I'm not gonna bring a piece of paper. I'm gonna bring some power tools, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going hunting. I'm not going to bring a book. I'm going to bring a weapon or crossbow.
Yeah.
And in that aspect, it really leads to adding to the depth of the game as well.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that we had talked about is that there are 5 specific roles that are kind of flexible, but you build items to help you with those roles. See, I asked a dumb question.
No. It's
not dumb.
I think you're very close. I think you're very right in that regard. There are special roles, and some of those roles have items only for those roles. And I think this goes into what was known as starter items, things that you begin the game with. Imagine it's a survival test. You don't have a lot of money, but you go, I need to grab one thing before I go out into the woods.
Pack of matches.
Basically,
Yeah.
a knife. You know, water, like all this sort of aspects, and
A weird blue egg.
egg.
Are they not eggs?
Oh yeah. Yeah, you're right. I'm still adjusting. They change the jungle item every year. But in that regard, I think we can begin. I think this transitions to the state of play.
Right.
And how you play a game of League of Legends. And I think that'll be a good time to get a new drink.
To get a new drink?
drink.
Yeah, we're
And
empty.
We restart it, and then we talk about just a completely standard game in its most bare bones aspect, and that'll probably be a lot anyway.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, let's get
take a
it.
break.
And we are back.
Welcome.
We've got a new beer in front of us.
And I'm excited. It's dark.
It's a dark beer,
Yes.
so it's going to be smooth and flavorful and chocolatey sometimes.
And caramelly.
This is the Noser, which is it's a stout. Pretty sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or I can double check.
I love a good stout.
It is a brown ale.
Oh,
Yeah, okay.
It's a brown ale. Looks like a stout.
It does look like a stout.
But it has aspects of pecans and vanilla bean.
Yep.
So
Yum.
it's a brown ale. It'll probably taste like a stout. It looks.
It looks like a stout.
Yeah.
It's very dark.
It's syrupy.
Oh well, actually,
If you hold it up to the light, it's brown.
yeah, it looks brown, more like a almost like a dark
Can't
red
control
ale.
himself.
Yeah, he needs it.
That is really sweet for
Yeah.
an ale.
I was about to say it's really sweet. Again, this goes down very easily.
And I love kind of the I hate to say coating, but the creaminess that hits the end of it.
You can taste the vanilla bean, and in the very middle, you can taste the pecans.
Yep.
Just a little bit.
But it's got the. This is going to sound really bad. It's got the cream or the cream soda ending on it. It's very creamy vanilla. at the
Oh,
end.
I see what you mean.
Yeah, I love it because
So like the tail end of like you just have the vanilla.
Yeah.
Man, you just
I was about to say, this
Chug
man
that.
is just, for those audio viewers, this man has downed it in 2 gulps.
basically like the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I like it a lot.
All right,
Yeah.
cool.
Well, love to hear that. I think this is good. This is really yummy, really kind of sweet. Not what I was expecting.
Yeah, let's jump back into it.
Yeah. Back to League of Legends.
So you were talking about gameplay. So because of what we saw over the weekend, I decided to download it
Yeah.
Yeah.
and install it.
You know what? What's your experience at this point?
And so at this point, it took a lot longer than I thought it would take to download it because there was 2 parts to it. You downloaded the installer,
The launcher,
the launcher,
like
or the client?
yeah, the client itself.
Then you installed something that was like to prevent foul play or something like that.
Oh.
They have an anti-cheat software called
Vanguard.
Yeah, the Vanguard. I had to download that one, and then I had to reboot.
Yep.
Yep.
And then
I will say we probably should have told you this before you downloaded it. You will not be able to get it off your computer.
okay.
It is ingrained now.
Yes.
It is really difficult to get rid of this
Whatever.
this anti-cheat software.
Anyways, and then I downloaded the actual game
Yep.
to play. And then when I got done with that, which was a little while later, I went to go to the tutorial and instead got in a game.
Yeah.
And I did not know the mechanics. And so it was horrible. I figured out how to move, but that was the extent. I figured out how to move. I was trying to hit things. I was pressing all buttons on my mouse.
Every button.
On the keyboard, all of a sudden I'd see circles and squares and everything shooting around. I had no idea who my character was.
I was about to say, do you know who you were
I
playing?
did not know who I was playing. I was just trying to figure out. So initially, there's 5 of us, and we started at the back end. The 4 guys run off, and I'm trying to go, okay, how do I move? I'm moving the mouse. It was horrible.
Yeah.
So I finally learned how to move. So I was moving, but the screen wasn't. So I was trying to figure out how to make the screen move with me.
Oh.
And so it was horrible. I did not kill anybody. I did not destroy any towers, which is part of the thing you're doing. I did go in the middle area, which we'll talk about what that area was, and kill some of those beasts in there.
You were jungling is what you're telling
Yeah,
us?
I was juggling, but I didn't know I was. I didn't know how I was doing that.
I don't know if you were jungling.
Well, I was killing whatever was in the middle there.
Okay.
So
Okay, it's a little different.
So I got in the middle of these three things, and I'm like, "What am I doing?" And I'm like, and so it was it was dumb. Anyways, I kept getting killed. I think I was 0 kills and got killed 20 times or something like that. But the 4 people that this was so there's different levels of gaming, which I found out is the tutorial. Then you have 5 co-op players against bots, and then you can do 5-on-5 at that point once you get enough experience. So the 4 of the people playing it understood that this was just fun, and so they just ran against the bots, got to the end, and the game only lasted 10 or 12 minutes.
Yeah.
Because they were just having fun, killing everything, and I kept running up in the middle of it, not really doing anything except for getting killed. And so I finally figured out where the tutorial was, because it was not an obvious place. Because if you hit play, you're going to go play a game. You have to go.
It's true.
You have to go to something called learning
Or training.
training, and then you get down into the tutorial.
It's true.
So I did the first 2 tutorials, which is amazingly incredible, because now I know how to move.
Yeah.
And
Very important.
And I know how to hit things now.
So important.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is important for a fighting game, a battle game, is how to do things. So. In the tutorial, you get to the first one. You get to switch out different characters. Still have no idea who their names are.
Totally fine.
Yep.
But the second game you saw me playing, it was
Misfortune.
Misfortune.
Oh, he's playing MF?
Yeah,
Oh,
I was playing
okay.
Misfortune, and going through there, and of course I went through and I killed everything and killed towers. Got killed a couple times, and then got to the end and won the game. But yeah, it was. I am. It is. You have to have a certain amount of coordination in order to do it, and because I don't know the shortcuts, and don't know when to press when just to let it go. Because if you attack something, you just have to press the right mouse key once. Initially, I just kept pressing it over and over.
Yeah.
And so it kept moving my target all over the place, because I was moving my hand at the same time. And so I think that the tutorial is fantastic to get you understanding how it's working, but it's also showing me how complex the game is to play.
I think this experience encapsulates anyone who's listening and wants to try it.
Yeah.
I think this is like it's okay to be confused.
Yeah.
I think it is totally okay to really not be sure, and sometimes struggle. And I think in a game, as we talk about, it's from different perspectives of levels that we have at this table, which I think is great to have.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed it. I mean, I enjoyed trying to kill things and getting killed. I have a laissez-faire attitude about playing games.
Yeah.
I know I'm going to die. I know other people are going to die, and it's just a matter of me. I am the melee specialist. I go in the middle of things. I push too hard. It's a horrible thing.
And now I know what characters to recommend you.
Not as MF. Not as Misfortune.
But there are other characters that do that incredibly well.
So, but yeah, it was
Dr. Moon.
anyways. So
Any top laner, actually? Wait.
Yeah.
So I think I played every role.
Okay.
I was in different places.
Yeah.
So explain what the roles are.
So in order to fully describe the roles, I think I want to try and paint a picture of what you are going to be greeted with when you open the game. So I'm going to, everyone close your eyes. If you're driving, don't do that.
Yeah.
But close your eyes. Picture a beautiful square. Oh my gosh, that's an incredible square. Good job. Now, picture on the bottom left corner and the top right corner are your little bases, your little homes. Those are the 2 teams' homes. And you have to protect it with your life. You don't want to see it hurt, and you're there for it. Now picture wrapping around the top left and the bottom right are roads that will lead you to the enemy's base and to your base. And then crossing diagonally through the square, another road. In between all these 2 roads, or 3 roads, a forest. And that is roughly what the Summoner's Rift, or the map of League of Legends, is. Now we talk about what you got to do. And we will, I think, top to bottom makes the most sense.
Yeah, I agree.
So, the simplest role.
Yes.
I would say, in theory, the top lane follows the what you need to do to win the game the clearest. Mm-hmm. You pick a character, you go into the top lane. There are lists that recommend what top laners, but you go into the top lane.
When we say top lane, we're talking about that road that Nick was just describing at the very top of the map. 2 people, one on either side, will meet on that road and will fight for control of soldiers to push down further into that road and closer to their opponent's base.
Yes, thank you. I will need the addendums and the clarifications as I'm trying to piece together this. The top lane, their main job, it is referred to as the island.
Yes.
The top laners rarely interact with the rest of the players, and when they do, it's usually later. And for large battles between both teams altogether. Because most of how the game begins is everyone's usually really separated in their own roles, trying to balance and get money and XP, as was described earlier. But the top lane, they are there to destroy the base. That is their main prerogative for the most part.
Now, along this top lane, in case you're wondering, is there towers.
Yeah.
From both sides. So once you get to that corner, it flips to the other team's towers, and on the one side of the corner of the square is the other team's towers, right? So you have that corner where it divides the towers up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And your job is just to kill the soldiers of your enemies, absorb their money and experience, get stronger, and then try to win by defeating your opponent, destroying their towers, and eventually leading yourself to their base and destroying their base. Top laner, extremely easy and clear on what your job is. It gets complicated later, but that's the top laner's job.
It is both a very easy role to understand, but it gets difficult because you need to be like very technically skilled, because it's a constant 1v1 all the time.
Yeah, and you can't expect support.
Yeah,
like other lanes might.
Yeah, you are literally on an island. You might get someone coming to help you, but for the most part, you're by yourself, which means your mistakes are your own, and you will live in them.
Drifting down to the middle road, or the mid lane, as it's referred to. This lane is typically for spellcasters and mages. If you like that sort of feel, it is the very center of the map. It is the shortest lane because it is a straight line from corner to corner. It is the most valuable one. Whenever people are like, we need to push for a win, they're going down the mid lane. It is the shortest path. The mid laner's job is to be aware of the map, to see what's going on in the top lane and the bottom lane, and adjust appropriately. And the mid lane is there to be an extremely powerful being that is typically very good in team fights. Mm-hmm. Something that is seen in a lot of common mid laners is someone that sets up and develops your team for a large, impactful play, or is always there to pick up and clean up the pieces after a large-scale team fight.
But they flex because there's other things you need to pick up in order to get extra value for your team, right?
So a lot of mid laners do go either up to the top lane or to the bottom lane and adjust. They can terminology we'll say is rotate.
Yeah.
They don't actually spin.
Yeah.
They're
rotating. They're rotating.
We might say some terminology that's for gamer purposes, but rotating just means I'm moving from one area to another significant area.
Yeah.
To usually assist or help. And that's the mid lane. It's very similar to the top lane, where it's usually a 1v1, and you are just there to withstand your laning opponent and try to succeed. They also want to push down towers, but they have a little bit more activity that they're relied on when dealing with the rest of the game.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes they get some visits, but that is really the mid lane encapsulated perfectly, I think.
Absolutely. And then we'll move down to the bottom road, or the bot lane. This one is a little special because there's 2 people from your team down there. It is a bot laner and then what is referred to as the support. The bot laner is typically a marksman, an archer is their sort of archetype that they pick up. And they're usually a little more dangerous to play. They might have less movement, or they can be captured really fast, which is why they have their support with them to protect them, to aid them in many aspects, and also just guide them to winning and securing. Everyone has the job of destroying towers and pushing into the base.
Some people are just better at it than others.
Some people are just more successful at it.
Yeah.
And with that, the support can also move and rotate, that fun word, to other lanes to also assist them. The support is usually, think of healers, or another gamer terminology is it's referred to as a tank. Basically, just a large person that can withstand a lot of damage and protect those around them.
So, what is to say, okay, I'm going to just do 5 mages?
Okay. Yeah, you're saying, like, what is the problem with that? Like, why do people not do that? Is what you're saying.
Okay, there.
Okay, let's do the last position.
Well, no. I'm going to answer your question really quickly. It comes to damage types. So the items that we talked about previously, they're your special sword, your special dagger. With that comes armor. Obviously, you need to protect yourself if you're going into a dungeon or something. But physical armor doesn't always protect you from a fireball.
Right.
Yeah.
So you need to get maybe like a holy charm,
right,
or maybe like a special magical armor that stops magic.
Right.
If you only have mages, well, then the enemy team just has to build that magical armor. They don't have to worry about physical things.
They're not going to build a steel breastplate if the enemy's just throwing fireballs at them, because they're like, wait a second, I'm just going to get cooked with this.
They're going to equip magical barriers, and they're going to overwhelm that just by preventing you from dealing a lot of a mixture.
So the variety of characters allows you to attack each person in very different ways.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's what the makings of these teams is so important, is team composition.
It's actually my favorite part of the game.
It is very fun. When you're alone or with people, you can communicate and figure out exactly how to find this balance. I think balance is the right word for it.
Yeah.
Because you always have to be like, okay, well, we need a tank somewhere, as referred, because otherwise we won't have anyone protecting us, and we'll die or get captured really quickly.
I think it's really interesting. Other MOBAs, we've mentioned games like Dota or Smite. Smite in particular is a game that we're really familiar with. In Smite, when you're looking for a quote-unquote tank, it is that support role unconditionally almost. And I think League of Legends does a really interesting job in the fact that your support might be really easy to kill, might not actually be a tank at all, and instead might be like a magic caster that like buffs, like makes you and your team stronger or faster or bigger even, or your enemies smaller, or polymorphs them into chickens, you know?
Yeah.
Or do they also do healing or
or healing, like
exactly.
they're healers, but they might not be the person that wants to take an arrow to the face.
Right,
Like,
right.
They might even stand behind their bot laner, thinking that, well, I'll heal the bot laner. I can't heal myself. So the bot laner, they're easy to kill, but I'll make them slightly harder to kill while protecting myself.
Yeah.
And that shows the depth of it.
Right.
So that's I think that sort of answers your question.
It does answer my question because you do 5 tanks and you just bulldoze everyone out.
Yeah, well, if you do 5 tanks, you just don't have damage because you're building so tanky. You're building like health and shields and stuff. So when you're hitting your opponent, neither of you are doing damage to each other.
And usually the damage dealers win out because they have more utility than just I'm going to look at you while you hit me with your sword.
Yeah.
You know? But we go into the very final role of it, and it is the exception. It feels like the most special one. At least it's the odd man out. It is referred to as the jungler. So I briefly mentioned that there's a forest between all of these lanes. Oh, it's so lush. Oh, and there's wildlife there. Your job is to kill the wildlife in there, take their essence, and get gold from them. Your job is to run around the entirety of the map. The world is your oyster, and you are prepared to cover it in hot sauce and throw it back.
The world is your oyster to kill. You're like a monster hunter looking for any sort of creature moving in the jungle.
Yeah, you can picture every other lane as maybe like a cordial knife fight or like a duel between like fencers where you're like seeing if weak points and aspects of your opponent to take advantage of. And then you can imagine the jungler as like Rambo, just like crawling through the jungle with like a knife in his mouth and like desperate to like kill anything he sees. That's the jungler. And his job is to surprise and to assist all lanes to be there and make it an unfair fight in your to your advantage.
Something that we haven't mentioned, but I do want to talk about it, especially when we're talking about junglers, is the game is, again, if you are familiar with war games in particular, and when we're talking about like military counterintelligence, that sort of things, this game kind of focuses on something very similar in the fact that there is a fog of war over the map at all times, meaning that you can only see as far as your allies can see. So everything else is fogged out.
Coated in darkness.
You
You don't know where anyone is until you or your ally sees them with their own eyes.
Right. And this makes the jungler's job even more kind of Rambo-like, where they're crawling through the forest, they're walking through the forest. The enemy team has no idea where that person is. So if the jungler kind of makes his way up top, he can jump out and surprise your opponent's top laner and potentially help your top laner get a kill in that area because they've surprised. Now it's a 2-on-1 instead of that 1v1 that you're normally used to. They're like, hey, wait, I thought this was a fair duel. Wait a second, where'd that guy come from?
Yeah.
Did he just pop out of a bush? What the heck?
And then the other very important aspect of the jungler, I'll briefly go over this. It's not necessary to learn. It's very important in the overarching game, but if you're just getting into it, you just go, this is my objective.
Yeah.
And that the jungler is to hunt bosses.
Yeah.
You are the ones to hunt giant monsters in the forest known as neutral objectives, which are in the very center of it. If you imagine the mid lane crossing one diagonal way, the other diagonal way is known as the river, and it is just a river. You can walk on it. And in the river, on the top and bottom junglers, there are pits. And inside these pits are large-scale monsters that you either need to carefully kill on your own or work with your team to take over. And they provide extremely strong boons and powers for your team.
Yeah.
So let's talk about gameplay at the next break.
Yeah, we can. Really quickly, though, I want to talk about my favorite jungler because we've just talked about describing junglers as like Rambo. There is a character in the game, and this is part of the reason why I really wanted to download League of Legends and play. This is a character in the game who plays as a jungler, and he is the friendly tree man. His name is Ivern, and instead of killing the jungle minions, he makes them his friend.
It's true.
It's such a unique and interesting concept that I'm not used to.
Yeah, I would, as side tangent.
Yeah.
When I refer to like there's a character out there at this point that'll probably call to you, there will be a character.
There's a character.
No matter how specific or unorthodox you might think,
Yeah.
there will be someone for you, either in one of the lanes I described or in just the game as a whole that you can figure out and really, really grab onto.
The fun thing about League of Legends, too, is that a lot of these roles are a lot of these positions are not really locked down to being a one character specific sort of thing. Like, if I really wanted to, I could probably play Ivern support. It wouldn't be phenomenal.
It's good.
Or maybe it is good.
Good.
But it means that a lot of the characters, if you really like a character, you can probably play them in multiple different ways.
Wherever you want to.
Yeah.
If you're aware of the game, or you just have that calling where you're like, I'm going to go here with this character. Great. See how it goes.
I think that's so cool and adds a lot of creativity to how people build teams.
Yeah.
And again, that's my favorite part of the game is how to build your team.
Absolutely.
All right.
Break.
We'll take a
Another
quick break. We're out of alcohol once more. We're going to get some more, and we'll be right back.
We'll solve that.
And we're back with a much lighter alcohol in front of us. If you think about the last one being more of like a chocolatey brown, this looks closer to like apple juice at this
Yeah.
point. It's very light, kind of this yellow color. It has a nice foamy head to it.
That's bad pouring on my part.
Well, yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
But
what are we
yes.
drinking? Yeah.
This is the Coffee Cake Blonde by the Bold Mariner Brewing again. They're highlighting this whole episode. and it's great.
Spoiler alert, it's all the Bold Mariner.
Yeah, well, just got to clarify it every time,
Yeah.
we bring out a new one. But this one is Coffee Cake Blonde. It sounds crazy.
Yes.
Yeah, we don't really have any more information on it besides Coffee Cake Blonde.
The can is covered in coffee cake and coffee beans.
Yeah,
All right.
we'll see.
Does it have a smell? Ooh.
Interesting.
It's almost like a coffee smell.
I wonder why.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. It's like coffee, but there's something else that kind of like dilutes it.
It's like a coffee cake. It's sweet, but then you have like a decent coffee flavor. He doesn't like it. He doesn't like coffee.
I don't like coffee.
You don't like coffee? I like coffee, and this definitely it has like a coffee and cream taste with a little bit of sugar.
Very odd. It's very odd.
It is very odd.
Fun background about our childhood. Our parents said that we couldn't drink coffee until we liked it black and bitter,
And that never came.
and that never happened.
And there was a good reason for this parenting technique, because we saw other kids that were drinking these milkshakes from Starbucks.
He's talking about like frappuccinos and things like
even
that.
You get a white chocolate double mocha frappe latte,
Yeah.
which isn't really coffee.
Okay.
Well,
You understand now. You understand the
our
perspective.
point's been made.
Where my wife and I drink our coffee black.
Yeah,
Yeah.
From like a 3-hour-old pot.
That's
Well,
him specifically.
That's me specifically.
Yeah.
Mom likes it a little
Yeah,
bit.
it's like she likes it warm at
Or-
least.
Yeah. So, but yeah, very different. And
Yeah.
You know what? I'm getting at the end a little bit of cinnamon.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just a sweet hint.
Yeah. It's different. I like it. It's not my favorite so far.
I will say, yeah, don't let my face, if you're watching the video, dissuade you. I think it's still good. The flavor just kind of caught me off guard.
It's very surprising and unique.
Yeah, it is very unique.
It's unique like that creamsicle one.
Oh, I knew you were going to mention the creamsicle one.
Because that was so different.
It was so different.
I was hoping you'd mention like any of the other, like unique ones that we had, and I would be like, yeah. The creamsicle one was something.
It was unique. I will say I liked a lot of the other Decipher alcohols, and I just had their East Coast IPA because we had bought it and we didn't use it for the shoot, and I was just had it in my room and I was drinking it. I like that a lot. It was actually very nice. So I know we're always talking about this creamsicle from Decipher. They make good things.
They make really good things.
It's just such a weird flavor.
The cask
it's right over there.
is over there was just fantastic. That was
so good.
Probably one of the best we've tasted.
I just felt like I needed to defend Decipher's honor for a second.
I think
every time
we praised a lot of their drinks.
Yeah, but every time we're like, ugh, we're like creamsicle.
I ended up finishing it, and I thought it was okay.
It aged well.
It aged well.
It aged better than fresh out of the can.
So, anyways.
All right, back to League of Legends. I feel like we've kind of gotten the basis down for what League of Legends is, how it's played.
Roughly.
Yeah, roughly.
The bare bones.
There's a lot of strategy that goes into these games.
And what I'll tell you from the tutorial is just jump in.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That's how I did it.
It's how you have to do it.
Because there's no way you can know all the characters.
No, you shouldn't.
You shouldn't know.
You shouldn't.
But
please don't do homework and all right, I've got to research 169 characters to figure out.
Don't study.
Yeah.
I think is the main thing.
Yeah, just go in there. I mean, I've only played 5 or 6 characters, and I'm already getting tendencies. I can say, oh, that's pretty cool that does that or that does this.
So I think this is kind of getting us to a point here where we're talking about why do people play League of Legends? Yeah. I think right now, as of I think September was the last one, there are about 150 million players monthly for League of Legends. That's a lot of people. And I think in the same way, if you've heard anyone talk about League of Legends, it's normally not super positive.
Not the most well-viewed experience for a lot of people.
But I think that might be one. It's just a popular thing, and people like to hate on popular things.
Yeah.
But why do people play League of Legends, and is it more than just a video game?
Yes.
Yeah. The short answer, yes. I think Riot, the company that has cultivated League of Legends at this point, has done maybe one of the most phenomenal jobs at creating an entire universe around this fairly simple game.
And it's an entertainment universe. It's not a gaming universe around it.
It's a mixture.
Yeah, it is a mixture, but I think the thing that sets it apart is that it's accepted that in order for the gaming side to be very successful, there has to be an entertainment side that is also as compelling.
I think they've set a standard that has reinforced that ideology.
Right.
Because I would say other games don't do that.
Right.
And just straight up.
Well, we were talking about it at the World Championship, the steps they took to highlight the players.
Yeah.
Because this last championship, it was in Germany, France, and in England.
Yep.
And every time 2 teams met together, they filmed them walking around the city in which they were playing in.
They had extremely high production, one-on-one interviews, team interviews. They set an impressive narrative that they weave together weekly, bi-weekly to really highlight and hype up the audience to make them excited for any game that would be happening.
Yeah.
So that's one aspect. I think we talked about this a lot. A one way or why to get into League of Legends you like the competitive scene. I think that's the most obvious one for any sport or game. The competitive scene is so fascinating to watch. They put so much effort, and they have incredibly talented and fun personalities that run the show. And I think that is one of the easiest ways to fall in love with it. Along with, they have incredible marketing.
Yeah.
It is renowned. Their finals show, their pre-show, before the games begin, they have set the standard that they are the Super Bowl of competitive gaming.
It basically is. Like, if you are going to watch any sort of esports event, and I really do want to have like a whole episode dedicated to esports in the future, but if you ever wanted to watch any sort of esports event, I think Worlds has kind of become the gold standard and really is that entertainment, competitive, just awesomeness. They even have their own halftime show. Oh my god, I just spilled all over myself. In the form
I'm getting so excited.
In the form of like musical artists coming and performing.
They put on a concert. This year was so exciting. They had Ashnikko, Forts, and Linkin Park as their headliners for the show. So much production.
Yep.
They all had backup dancers. They had an incredible show. They put on a concert to begin the game.
Yep.
In the past, they've had Imagine Dragons. They've
Yes.
they've had a lot of like New Jeans. They've had a variety of artists and genres take over their main stage, which is also so alluring for us who always enjoy a variety of music.
Well, we like a good variety of music, and it's like K-pop, rock, pop.
They do hip hop. They had Denzel Curry.
They had Denzel Curry.
I think it was 2 years ago or last year. He was at Worlds, which was such a fun show. They really exemplify a way to bring an audience and really show that how invested they are in making this such a highlight.
And one of the things that I would say is, and we've talked about this before, is that it's not just at Worlds where they're putting that entertainment piece. The cinematics related to characters is something very unique to League of Legends.
Absolutely.
It's not entirely unique to League of Legends, but I do think when we're talking about having so many characters in a game, it becomes very difficult for you to connect to one of them. And so League of Legends is building a cinematic universe for you to connect to characters and for you to know who they are.
Kind of explain what the cinematics are for it.
So throughout the year, they release a variety of animated, high quality, either music videos or storytelling shorts. They're usually 3 to 4 minutes long with showing off and presenting their characters. It's usually 6 or 7, maybe less, sometimes more, characters from the game. And you get to see them in high quality form, in their environment, usually doing something really cool, and that is so rewarding to see. Mm-hmm. And it also has their own music. They have a variety of scenarios where you finally get to see characters interact with each other, which is so exciting. They have it for whenever they're releasing a new character, they'll do that. Or a character you haven't seen before. Like, you're like, oh, they've never been in a cinematic, and you see them and you get so excited because frankly, League of Legends isn't the best looking game. But when you see them in a cinematic with their high quality intended form, it's so compelling to see that character in that form. And bouncing off of their cinematic universe they're creating, we can't neglect their hit show on Netflix, Arcane.
Yeah.
I think that the idea that they were able to extend that into was an 8-part series on Netflix.
Six parts, yeah.
I knew some.
3 when they were young and 3 when they were older.
Oh, you're right.
Wow. Dang, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep.
And the good thing about it was a lot of times while a lot of different games may come out with content that's outside of the game, Riot did not feel tied to the characters in the game, or the character story within the game. It looks like they created new stories around characters.
And created new characters is really what
Some aspects.
Right.
Yeah.
The main roster, at least their fates were already foretold.
Right.
We all knew where Jinx, Vi, Caitlyn, Victor, and Jace would end up.
Right. Okay.
We knew
And Heimerdinger.
Heimerdinger, Echo,
I
Singed,
forgot about Echo.
Vander.
Yeah, Vander.
We knew how they ended up, and we knew roughly their stories. But seeing it, and in such a, I would say, intimate depth, where you get to see the layers and the dynamics really have the space to breathe, and these characters interact in these calm moments, shows like such a whole new layer to their interactions.
I think when we talk about a game like League of Legends, and when we talk about a lot of multiplayer games that are like PvP where you're playing against other people, the world is static.
Yeah.
Like when you load into a game of League of Legends, you are not witnessing a narrative story. Like if our dad is playing Misfortune and she's fighting against I don't know, an Ashe in the bot lane, this is not like a canonical event that's
Right.
happening.
Yeah.
Right? But there is a narrative that Riot Games has tapped into, in that like these characters have backstories, they have things, they have like stories in their own that they're building off of or that they're telling. And I think Overwatch has done something similar.
Yeah.
In the fact that they also have like high quality cinematics for their characters, where they're telling a story about these characters, because when you load into an Overwatch game, you're not canonically having Reinhardt fight Reinhardt in like this like weird multiverse kind of way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that just adds to the why. I think just to even get to the door of League of Legends, right? Like the production, the scale, the effort that Riot has pushed, the marketing, I think is so smart. And then when you get to the door, you are presented. I keep saying it, and I think this is what really sold me. Any aesthetic that you want to capture in a character, you can find it.
Yeah, that's when I was looking at it and just like browsing through the thing, I was like looking at all the different characters. And
There's
I was
so
like,
many.
And I was like looking at them, and I'm like, I can see easily where I would say, well, that character looks really interesting.
Yeah.
I have no idea. I don't know anything about that character. But if I wanted to, I could try to find a cinematic with that character. And then I could find his backstory. That's a really powerful tool in order to become engaged in the game before you even play the game.
My friend who played for my college League of Legends team loves pirates. He plays pirates whenever he is playing any game. So when he was on the Smash team as well, he played King K. Rool.
The pirate crocodile.
The pirate crocodile, yeah. And when he plays League of Legends, he plays Gangplank Top.
Captain
Gangplank, which is a pirate that like throws out like ale barrels or like
exploding powder kegs.
Yeah, powder kegs that he like shoots and explodes. But also I sat through him talking about the story and the backstory of Gangplank and how he died, but he didn't actually die, and he made a deal with Davy Jones, I think.
It's something to that effect.
Yeah.
It goes back to Riot really creating a narrative. They have the world that this takes place in, where all these characters live in. It is referred to as Runeterra. That is the name of the world. And all of them have different regions and aspects that you can connect with. If you like pirates, there's a region
bunch of pirates.
all hailing from Bilgewater. And Bilgewater is a entirely port region, heavy sea and ocean and a little grimy vibes. It's very like sort of like dark and crime heavy.
I mean, we keep mentioning it, but Misfortune is also from that area because she is also a pirate.
And her lore is that she's trying to kill Gangplank.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
And you see all these characters and how their webs
they all connect. It's so interesting.
If you like a more like knightly vibe, there's the Kingdom of Demacia, which is very which is very like prim and proper. It has like French English vibes and very like knightly and holy almost. If you like a more rugged dictatorial warlike
like Spartan kind of vibes.
Spartan regimenting. There's the Empire of Noxus, which
is that the mom?
This is where the newest character Mbessa hails from. She's a general.
So
she's also the newest character in the game. I don't know if you know that.
She came out today.
Yeah.
Oh, did she?
Yeah.
Well, we were talking about Arcane. Arcane is about to come out also.
Yeah,
Arcane season 2. Yeah,
coming out this weekend.
Yeah, this weekend.
Holy cow!
Yeah, the 9th. Yeah,
3 episodes.
Yeah.
The other parties are out.
Okay, good.
We're watching it when all of them are out.
Yeah. Okay, good. I'll be back then. This is great.
Yeah. So I mean, I think that that is such an incredible thing when you think about it. Is that the entertainment is driving the character now?
It's true.
Yeah,
it is. It's fascinating because there's another character called Renata Glask. She was originally supposed to be Silco.
Oh, interesting.
Silco was supposed to be put in the game, but Renata was replaced. But he was the intended.
Whoa.
I don't know what happened, but that's what happened.
Interesting.
So it's very fascinating.
And Silco hasn't made it to League of Legends, has he?
He's made it to TFT.
But he's made it to TFT. Yeah, he had, when Arcane released, there was a whole set around Arcane specifically, and Silco was a character added to TFT.
All right, so before we go down that route,
yeah, I know. Teamfight Tactics is a totally different like.
But I think we can talk about when you get on that screen that you're going to see a couple of different things on there.
Yeah,
you see TFT, you see Land of Runeterra.
Oh yeah.
Oh god. Yeah, so League of Legends has done a good job of finding an IP that works, like an intellectual property that works, that people really like and connect to, and they've added it to a bunch of other things. And so they've been branching out to other types of games. So League of Legends is the base. We've talked about it. It's a MOBA. It has this sort of very strategy aspect. For those of you who want to be more into the strategy and less into more of the sort of tactile or very technical abilities that come with League of Legends, Teamfight Tactics, or TFT, is that answer, in the fact that it's an auto battler, which means the characters will fight for you. You don't need to fight like as them, and it's more about building teams and getting lucky with draws. Basically,
you basically create your team onto a board. Think of it almost like you're creating a chessboard, and you're positioning them, and then once your opponent arrives, then you get to see how these chess pieces all move together. But it's heavy strategy.
Yep.
There's like so many aspects that are manipulated by your mind, and it's a little slower. You don't have to worry about like reacting as quickly. It's more methodical and slow.
Yeah. And it really is, when we talk about auto battlers, they're the kind of things where you set the board up and then you cannot do anything while the game is happening.
Yeah.
So you wait for it to randomly choose an opponent for each round, and once the game has chosen this opponent, you just watch.
You're locked in.
You just watch the fight happen, and then the round ends, and you have a little period of time to build, upgrade, give them items, and reset them on the board. And then it goes back into that round, and you just watch.
But that's That's a different game.
Yeah, it's a totally different game.
It caught me by surprise when I was on the launch page.
Yes. A Legends of Runeterra is their turn-based game.
It's their card game.
It's their card game. You're right. It's the card game. Legends of Runeterra is the card game, which is turn-based, but yeah. And then it's the Ruined King. I cannot remember the full name of that game.
Oh.
It's like Legends of the Ruined King or something.
Yes, they have a turn-based action narrative game to introduce you to a new character that came out around that time.
Yeah. Wow. So again, and it sounds like they're working on an MMO. They're really like working on this IP of characters. So they have TV shows, they have cinematics. We haven't even talked about the fact that Riot Games also has music groups that they've built
with actual music groups and bands and artists.
Yeah.
And then put them into a more a League of Legends one-to-one character creation.
Yeah.
You know, there's a K-pop group made from a variety of artists called KDA.
Yep.
There is a boy band called Heartsteel.
Yeah.
Their hip-hop group is called True Damage. They have a metal band called Pentakill.
Yeah.
And they work so well. So this all of these is to say, it's easy to understand how you get drawn to this entire world and just end up clicking that play button and hopping on to Summoner's Rift.
Yeah. It really is the MCU of the gaming world.
Yeah.
Because there's just so much for you to like and get into, even if you aren't a big fan of like League of Legends.
It's the touch point. You do as many touch points as possible to get sticking.
I think Riot has done that magnificently in these 15 years.
I mean, it goes back to, I really like talking about Smite because the three of us went to like the Smite Worlds. We played a lot of Smite. And when you compare kind of what Hi-Rez or Titan Studios has done with Smite and that property and their attempt to do things very similar to League of Legends, it just has not worked.
It hasn't had the intended impact.
It hasn't had the same impact, yeah. Versus like League of Legends versus Riot Games, who is not only built off of the League of Legends IP, but they've also created an entirely new IP in the form of Valorant that has completely taken the world by storm and has had its own unique success. And so if you don't want the League of Legends IP, there is another option for you out there in the form of a character tactical shooter like Overwatch and Counter-Strike together.
Yeah.
Right.
But that's why. That's the why.
That's the why. There's so much.
It's easy to understand how compelling it is. It is made for anyone that has an interest in any of the things.
Anything,
Any of the entertainment aspect.
Music, shows, media, storytelling, character archetypes.
Anime. I'm going to start an argument.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway.
But yeah, I think the thing is, you might be affected by League of Legends or by Riot Games, and you might not even know it.
I think that's the crazy part at this point.
Yeah.
You're like, I love this song, and then you're like, it's got a weird band name.
Yeah.
And then you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
All right. Let's take a break.
Or like, I cannot think of Linkin Park without thinking about "Heavy Is the Crown," their song that League of Legends has just been using.
Oh, it's like Enemy from Imagine Dragons.
Yeah,
Warriors.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
That one of their most popular songs was originally made for League of Legends.
Yeah.
Every year, League of Legends chooses one song to be their world song. They have like an awesome cinematic with it.
Yeah.
And it becomes the earworm for that year.
Yeah, they whatever they put in it, it is the song that you have ingrained in your mind.
Yeah. All right, we're going to get our final drink. I know we have 4 drinks now. It's crazy.
Long episode.
Yeah, we're having a long episode.
Thank you for sticking.
But we're going to get some new drinks, and then we'll finish this off. All right, we'll see you in a second here. Welcome back. We are on our fourth and final drink. I know it's a little unorthodox. It's a little different than what we normally do. Normally, we just have 3 drinks.
Thank you for sticking around.
Yeah.
And we do appreciate it. Hopefully, we're not boring you too much.
I assume half the people listening have fallen asleep, and that's why the video is still running. Thank you.
Or they're drinking beers with us.
Obviously, if you're here, you're either drinking with us and having a good time, or maybe you are interested in what we're saying.
Or maybe you're downloading League of Legends.
Yeah, maybe you're downloading League of
through the
Legends
tutorial
right now. Or watching Arcane, which I would definitely recommend.
Yes.
Yeah. But anyway, our last drink, it is called the Dog Zebra. Our informant our spy.
Or informed.
Whatever our...
Secret agent.
Secret agent. I was looking for another terminology.
It's getting worse.
Who went to acquire the alcohol, got this for free on top of her purchase, which is incredibly generous from the Bold Mariner. And it is an old school IPA called Dog Zebra. We are looking forward to it.
I will say the other two do not really like IPAs that much.
It's not that we don't like IPAs. I think that we prefer a stronger, like a stout kind of beer that has a little bit more. Me, I do. That's what I do. What do you feel?
Well, IPAs just have an aftertaste that I'm not a fan of.
Yeah.
It's like overwhelming hoppiness.
Right.
Yeah.
That just lingers on the tongue. Because I think the impact of an IPA to start, I think it's fine. It just
The hoppiness at the end.
it just lingers.
I will say some IPAs are too much for me as well, and I feel like they're more of like a once in a while kind of drink for me.
I mean, I've tasted some double hop IPAs that are just
I couldn't do that.
that are just really.
They're hopped up.
Yep.
All right. Do we have any more information about this, or
Nope.
just Dog Zebra IPA?
And we're gonna give them as much credit and love as we possibly can.
Heck yeah.
I don't really know what else.
All right.
Tink.
Tink.
The last drink of the night.
Beautiful smell.
They always do.
Well, I think if you were worried about this as an IPA, you should not worry about this.
It's very clean. It does still have the slight aspect of the hoppy, but it's really not as strong as a lot of others.
Yeah. It doesn't really. Oh my gosh, you are drinking these so fast.
The cups are small.
Yeah.
The cups are just getting smaller.
He's used to taking sips of the strong alcohol.
Yeah, he's used to taking sips of cocktails that have like 3 different hard liquors in them.
This is just water.
Yeah.
The percentage would argue, to be honest. We've drank some fairly decent.
That's really good. That's drinkable too.
I love to hear that.
I think all 4 of them have been very drinkable.
I agree. I think all 4 have been really great.
Yeah.
What, you're telling me we haven't spat out a single one of these drinks?
I don't think we've ever spat out a drink
I don't think we. Yeah.
yet.
I think we've tried our best. I will tell you one that was close.
Oh.
Whoa.
The Bloody Maria. I'm not a Bloody Maria.
Whoa.
Wait, you finished yours?
No, I did not.
No, he didn't. He didn't finish that one.
That's the only one I have not finished yet.
Oh man,
I drank that one so fast.
Oh my!
And that's the one that you made for Mom.
Yeah,
it's true. Yeah.
And she
and
liked
she
it.
liked it.
Yeah,
She did.
So,
But she also was the one that recommended using V8 instead of just straight up tomato juice.
Yeah.
anyways, that's good.
Yeah. I like it. It's good. It's not really as strong of an IPA as you probably would normally expect, but I think that's kind of nice.
I don't. It makes it easier to drink for me.
Yeah, this is like a good like entry level IPA. I think if you want to drink IPAs or you're like, I wish that I like the taste of IPAs. This is like a good one that's like, it's good.
Sip on this.
Yeah.
It'll go really well with some fries or chips.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
something that's very salty or very fatty.
Yeah.
I want that so bad right now.
We had nachos for dinner.
I know.
I would say some like loaded fries would kind of go nuts.
Stop talking. Oh my god. Oh my gosh. I'm craving loaded fries now.
But yeah. Anyway, to round it off, we are...
I wish we lived in DC because there's no way we could order anything
No,
here.
no. That is the one thing I miss. I've ordered food at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
You cannot do that around Charlottesville area.
Well, you can in Charlottesville to a certain point. where we live,
Yeah,
Oh,
not
you can't-
us.
No one delivers. No one delivers.
the cows just don't take. They don't bring stuff to us.
Come on.
You have to hop on a horse and go somewhere.
Yeah. All right. So we've talked a lot about League of Legends today. Actually, we've talked a lot about like all of Riot Productions at this point.
It's sort of like
Yeah, it's
encompassing.
interchangeable, a little encompassing. I think if you are watching this and you are kind of like our father here, interested in getting into League of Legends, mainly League of Legends or kind of like a related property, I think there are some expectations specifically for like getting into League of Legends that
you should be aware of.
yeah, we want to throw down.
Almost a cautionary, but also like encouraging.
Yeah, and also kind of like as a, how do you even get into this thing? Because
Yeah.
we've talked about so much and we're just scratching the tip of the iceberg.
I think one thing from an expectation standpoint, and which is very specific to me,
Yeah.
I'm not going to be able to do a 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. marathon playing.
That's
don't
like
need to.
That's more of the gamer culture,
Right.
There will always be players online.
Yeah, I know. But I think that I have a very short, specific time that I have availability to play games.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And I think that one of the things that when I see these championships things from an expectation standpoint, that is always kind of scary to me
Yeah.
What?
is that they go, okay, at minute 22, these are going to spawn.
Okay.
Yes.
And I'm thinking, okay, well then I might be playing this game for an hour.
Yeah. So I will say MOBAs, typically the game time is a bit longer than what you might expect or see from other games.
Right.
They could last anywhere from like 15 to 20 minutes to like over an hour.
You can get over an hour.
Yeah.
I would say that I think you do need to have some level of commitment. I think if you're used to watching like an hour-long Netflix show
Yeah.
or a few episodes of other series, I think you should go into that sort of mindset if you are allocating time for League of Legends.
Mm-hmm.
It's not an in and out like, oh, we're playing checkers and we're done in like 5 minutes.
Right.
There is like a time commitment to it. That is true. But I think, especially with the game having like a surrender system,
Yep.
some of the games might end faster, especially if the team thinks that it's not going to win. So there are games like this where they think that if the game looks insurmountable, your team can like vote as a unit to surrender and just move on to the next game.
And
So
the game, not spend any more time on what feels like either
Yeah.
it's such a task to do,
yeah.
or it's just like impossible at this point.
Yeah, so like if you're trying to sit down and play a couple games of Call of Duty, those are like really, really quick. League of Legends might take a little bit longer, but also if you have a really one-sided game, it might surrender and be really quick as well.
Yeah.
Or it might be a really close game and then super long.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the unknown that may stop someone from playing is that they don't understand what the time commitment is, because when you read about it, it's I've played 3,000 games of this. I'm at 10,000 hours, and you're thinking, I just want to be a casual player. And
Yeah.
what I've found from the tutorial is that you can pick up to be a casual player.
Yes.
Easily.
So one of the things that we talked about is that I'm doing a tutorial right now. The next level, so you don't go directly into 5v5, right?
Mm-hmm.
You do the tutorial, and then you do these 5 co-op players against bots or AI kind of.
Yeah.
When he says co-op players, he means that he will have 5 real people on his team playing against computers on the other team.
Yeah.
To get you used to the game a little bit more and the inklings of communication as well as team composition. Because usually when you're just in the tutorial area, they'll give you the character. They will present you with the team that works well with you. And then when you start working with other people, you gotta be like, what should I do to make sure that this team looks good?
Yeah.
And I think that just takes time.
It does.
Yes, I would say for a lot of, consider League a hobby almost.
Right.
Yeah.
You can be, you can be a casual player. You can just hop in, play a little bit, easy. You have a good time. You do your own thing.
You don't need to worry about matchups. You don't need to worry about learning characters. You find the one or two, three characters that you think are great, are interesting, look cool aesthetically. That's it.
You do that maybe 1 or 2 games a night.
Yeah.
That's perfect. There's no issue with that.
And one thing you told me, which I thought was very helpful, is that it does recommend what to buy next, what to do next, how to build your character.
The game has gotten a lot better in that it not only will recommend what items you should build, it'll give you like, oh, you're going against this person, you should build this item, or your team has this person, you should build this item.
Yeah.
It'll tell you what you should level up, and if you're in the jungle, it'll tell you where to go.
Which monster to hunt next.
Yeah.
Which is great, because I know that's not always been the case over the years.
It is not. It is brand new.
It is a constant battle with games like League of Legends, like MOBAs, because there is a bit of a barrier to entry. Because if I want to load up Call of Duty, man, you just need to tell me how to run and shoot.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. There's like way more nuance to the game.
Run, look, shoot.
Yeah, there's way more nuance to the game if you want to get really good and get competitive. But like, if I'm just loading up the game to have fun, play casually, it's super simple. League of Legends, there's a little more to it. There's more strategy to it, and the game needs to figure out a way to handhold you at least a little bit so that it can take some of that thinking away, that processing power that you have away from one thing, that you can focus on something else.
Yeah, I don't think it's the thinking side so much. It's because it's such a huge volume of information.
Yeah.
Making it easy, making it more consolidated, making because you don't have to follow what they say.
Yeah.
Right.
But it allows you the ability to learn as you're building. Because I think that when I played Smite,
Yeah.
I always found it difficult to figure out what I was going to buy, what I was going to do, and how I was going to build the next one. Every time I got killed and had to go back.
Smite did it slightly differently when you were playing, where you could check a box and the game would just build items for
Right.
you.
Yeah, they would just be like, oh, what are the top 6 items that this character would build? And then it just built it for you in its static order.
Yeah. It's done a little bit better of a job now, where it recommends what is popular for the game mode for your character. So if you're in Assault, which is a very different game mode than Conquest, and this is getting like way too specific about Smite, but you don't want to build Conquest items for Assault because it's a very different game mode, and you want to build more like sustain items for Assault because you can't go back to base to heal.
So that's another thing that is kind of different than what we see. There really is only the one kind of game mode.
Basically, you have to get comfortable with the one map of League of Legends. There is another map, and that's seen as like sort of the fun house. It's like very, very loose. If that's the casual, like that's it is known as ARAM. You get assigned a random character, and then it's 5v5. You're pushing one lane. There's no jungle. There's nothing to worry about. It's just 5 people beating each other up, and then the game ends. And those games never last longer than 30 minutes.
Because you're just beating up each other.
Yeah, you're just beating up each other.
At the end, the game will end inevitably quickly.
It's literally like team wipe into you team wiping them, into them team wiping you, and
It's like just imagine a tug of war.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
It has to end with someone, falling.
Yep.
But back to getting in, how to get in, what to worry about. I would say if you have there's 2 things that I recommend. One, we're doing this from the perspective that you have a working PC, laptop, whatever.
Almost anything.
Anything. It runs on anything. But if you don't have that, if you just have like a gaming console,
Yeah.
you can download another version of League of Legends on your phone.
Yep.
And that is even more casual and more friendly and open. I recommend both of those.
The mobile game is called Wild Rift.
League of Legends Wild Rift.
Yeah, in case you're looking for it. But yeah, if you just type in League of Legends in the whatever store, it will come up.
Yeah. I think the barrier to entry is very low in terms of hardware requirements.
Dang, I bet you don't even need to CS in Wild Rift.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But there is a lot of things to be aware of. Mm-hmm. As we're talking, you said it. We've barely scraped the top of the iceberg.
Oh my God, there's so much.
Which is why it's so alluring, but so daunting in many aspects. Yeah. And I don't think that that should be dissuade you from even trying. I think.
Yeah. I think your recommendation of picking a couple of characters that seem interesting to you
every time.
And then just pick those, no matter what, initially that's what you're going to do.
Yeah.
I will say in games like League of Legends, part of the monetization strategy is to put characters behind paywalls.
Yeah.
So if you're starting out and you're like, I thought these guys said there are 169 characters. Why do I have access to 30 of them?
Or less.
That's because a lot of the characters are not available. But in a good way, League of Legends and games like it have what's called a rotating free pool of characters. So there are characters that are available to you that you can play even if you don't technically own them.
And you can try them out, you can test them. It's a great way
Yep.
to get a feel for variety because they always make sure that there's always a top laner, a jungler, a mid laner, an ADC, and a support always in rotation.
Yeah, so whatever role you want to play, you'll have options there. And also, as someone who has a very low level account, as you level up, they give you the means to purchase at least a couple characters very easily.
Yeah.
So you can just look around and find this guy looks fun. I'm going to choose him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the thing. Was I went in there, I'm like, oh, that character looks interesting. You do not have enough experience.
Yeah.
We haven't even talked about this. It is a free-to-play game.
Yeah.
A lot of games are like, ooh, $30 to get in, $40 to get in, $60, $70 to even touch the game. League of Legends is free to play.
It is free
and it is obvious that it is based on how heavy they push microtransactions, as well as wanting you to spend money, but you don't have to spend a cent.
And
spend anything.
As a person that doesn't play this a lot, I don't think the push has been that hard.
No.
I
don't think so either. I think especially as you going in there, a lot of what these microtransactions are playing on is feelings of missing out, the feeling of FOMO, the fear of missing out, or oh man, I really love Trundle. Oh, League of Legends just released a Trundle skin. I have to get this skin.
Trundle is my main.
Yeah, because Trundle's my main.
I think the skin thing is probably the one that is most alluring to me.
When we talk about skins, I feel like if you're not really in the know about games, we're talking about costumes for your characters.
Yeah, they're known as skins. It sounds odd.
Yeah, it sounds weird.
in looking at from an outside perspective, we're like, oh, this person's skin is really good. Yeah, they're what?
They're green rather than.
Yeah, but it does base off of that. It does stem from they have a different skin because it did start off with bare bones. Instead of having a blue aesthetic, they're now red.
Yeah.
Or I know that Smite used to do this. They used to pick the Hobbit skin or things like that.
So, here's what I'll say. League of Legends looks like a 15-year-old game.
Yep.
And that's unfortunate because I think they have such good lore. They have interesting and cool characters. And so I think the skins are fine. Yep. They look okay. If you look at other MOBAs like Smite, I think Smite in particular is the biggest.
The game looks so good.
It looks so much better. The skins are unique and interesting.
Yep.
And Smite has done kind of what Fortnite has done, not to the same extent, but has done kind of what Fortnite has done in the fact that like they have Avatar: The Last Airbender skins.
They have Nickelodeon.
They have Nickelodeon skins. They have Magic the Gathering skins.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
There are Slipknot skins.
There are Slipknot skins. League of Legends have been so protective not to let anything.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they could if they wanted to, easily.
Absolutely.
But they have kept their IP and image exclusively for themselves.
They want to...
It's like a Nintendo.
Yeah. Like, Riot Games wants to control everything. So they may have a KDA skin line, but they're not going to have, like, a Slipknot or, like,
They're not going to have a New
Motionless in
Jeans.
White.
New
Yeah.
Jeans.
They're not
right.
going to have a New Jeans, yeah.
But yeah, that the barrier to entry is basically, do you have a phone or a computer? It is free to play. It is the depth of the game, I think, is the most daunting part of it, to truly get into it and understand the like complexities that it offers. And then the one that it is renowned for. And I think we have to...
we have to mention
We have to mention it, and we will probably end on it.
Yeah.
League of Legends has a culture attached to it. And specifically, League of Legends, when playing the game, of a very negative and almost bullying to the degree of potential harassment.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not... See, that does not impact me as much because if you play Call of Duty, that's about as toxic as it gets.
Yeah. Well,
But it's the issue where you're instead stuck for 10 minutes. You're
Right.
now in there for 40 minutes.
Correct.
yeah.
I get that. And I think that gamers in general, I think there is a...
It's true. And I think any negative perspective that a gamer can have, it is highlighted in League of Legends.
Yeah.
To such a degree.
That's really well put.
When I have played a lot of games of League of Legends, I have basically seen every word under the sun.
Oh, God.
I have seen any combination of words under the sun. It is not fun to see.
Yeah.
Riot has cracked down on it, especially recently, but it is still there. It is still prevalent. And I would say the one thing to always keep in mind, if you truly want to at least attempt League of Legends, ignore them.
Yeah.
It is all I can say.
I think there's an option to turn off. Like right now, I have like a level 14 or 15 account. My all chat is disabled.
Yeah, all chat means the enemy can talk to you.
Yeah, you can talk to them. They can talk to you. Everyone sees it. Normally, you can just talk to your team. That's what I have. I think I need to enable all chat.
You need to enable it.
I would right now. Don't enable it.
Don't do
if
it.
you're starting out. I would also recommend, if you can, find someone to play with.
Oh my gosh, play with people.
It makes the experience so much better.
I played thousands of games. I've played maybe 10 alone. And that's pushing it.
Yeah.
Well, and the way you communicate with them is through usually Discord, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Find someone. I don't care what service you use. There's usually like a hierarchy, like, don't use this. Da, 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 da.
yeah.
Do whatever is comfortable. In the past I've had my phone on and I'm just on a call with someone with like my ear open talking to them. But like find a way to communicate. If you are in the same room as them, maybe you bring a laptop over to their house and you play together and you're just chilling, right? That is a way to connect because you're playing with them, and I highly recommend always being with someone. I think it adds to a way to enjoy it more and to actually like appreciate the experience. Because if you just trudge through League of Legends alone, there's no reason to stay.
Yeah.
Unless you're so invested in a character, in the gameplay, in the ranked climb, which we didn't even talk about.
We didn't even talk about ranks.
But that's perfect. But we're talking about the game, and if there is a moment where you can share a positive experience with someone that you know in it, it just makes the experience all the more magical.
Yeah, I mean, I think that for me, these are escapes for me. So me being alone is not as daunting to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I look at these differently. I'm not vested in it. This is me getting away from what I do day to day and escaping into it. I think it'd be cool to have other people, because when we played Smite together,
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that.
Dude, we're trying to play with
I'm
you.
trying to get into your bot games.
But I will say, by virtue of a PvP game, a player versus player game, you're getting into this for the competitiveness, at least a little bit.
Right.
Because, I mean, if not, you could just play Stardew Valley together.
Yeah.
Right? There is that competitiveness, and there is that, like, wanting to win, that wanting to be good.
Plus, killing someone is kind of a...
Yeah. There's that rush. There's that adrenaline. I think playing with someone else really helps ground you into being like, oh, we're still playing a game. Like, we're supposed to be having fun, and we can still be a little competitive and still be laughing and enjoying our time here. And I think a lot of people, because League of Legends has so many people, it's the outspoken people who are very loud, very noisy, who are not having fun and want other people to not have fun, that really becomes that main focus. Yeah. And at the end of the day, if you're queuing with a bunch of people, or you're queuing with 1, 2, even a whole team, it just makes the experience more enjoyable because you all can just have fun, be silly.
Yeah, it's like whenever we watch these guys, when they play that game with the orange space.
Lethal Company.
When they play Lethal Company and they're all talking to each other.
Yeah.
That to me seems like half the fun of it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Talking back to each other.
There's a sense of camaraderie, I will also add.
Are we about to get you to download Lethal Company too?
There's a sense of camaraderie when playing a team game against other players. When you are able to communicate and coordinate with the people you're with.
Yeah.
And successfully win or pull off a cool maneuver. That's like a little bit of like excitement. It adds to the depth of the moment as well.
I think it allows you to say, man, that was the dumbest thing I've ever done.
Yeah, exactly. You can be like,
the other guy going, yeah, I do that all the time.
why did you do that? The other guy going, I don't know what you're talking about.
You didn't see anything.
You didn't see that. Yeah. We're just about out of time.
Yeah, we are about out of time. Number one, if you've stuck through the very end, we're going to say that the normal things with YouTube is thank you so much for sticking with us. Please subscribe. Please give us comments. What do you want us to say? What would you like for us to talk about? We are always up for a good topic, Yeah,
I mean, we are just 3 guys sitting here talking.
Between the 3 of us, we've interacted with many aspects of the world. Yeah. We'll find something that we could talk about, or honestly, one of us tries something new and comes back to the group and relays information.
Like this one was basically an off-the-cuff comment that I made. So
yeah.
All right, really quickly though, before we run out of time,
Drinks.
What was everyone's favorite? We'll start with Dad, and if it helps, we'll throw them out here. We've got the Frogman, we've got the Noser, we've of course got the IPA, and then we've got the Coffee Cake Blonde.
Definitely the Noser. The dark beer was just my favorite.
The brown ale, really good one. Nick, what about you?
I'm gonna go with the Frogman.
The Frogman.
It was so refreshing.
The lager, really refreshing, very good. Oh man, yeah. Honestly, I really did like those. I think I like the Noser the most, if I'm gonna be honest. It was really good.
Can you imagine tasting it on a draft?
Very good.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Well, we'll have to go down there at some point.
So true.
And I think we will. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll catch you next time. We've been the 3 Hamster Boys, and peace out.